for joining me. I will go live later where I will be in full, live where you can see me. But at this moment, due to certain reasons, we are trying to get certain things set up and information put out for everybody so they know ahead of time what we're doing so y'all are able to join, and it just makes things easier. And my team is working overtime right now trying to get certain things set up and producing more evidence to y'all for what happened to me in Pennsylvania and why we are demanding that the people that did these crimes be held accountable. I am Cherie McCrae, as you all know, and I was raised in Pennsylvania for many years. I wouldn't actually say it was raised. I was just held hostage, basically, by law. It's called kidnapping. I was held in a closet at 174 Gilbert Hollow Road in Holsapple, Pennsylvania. I was tortured and beaten, sexually tortured and abused by multiple people. And over the years, I have been able to gain the education and the knowledge, and unfortunately went through the experiences of what horrific child torture is. And with that being said, it has profoundly affected my life in so many ways. And things like your health, loss of kidneys due to horrific torture, these kind of crimes are not just something that has been spoken about. It has been um, expressed, told, documented, people that witnessed it, people that participated in it. And those that did it to me are walking free right now in Pennsylvania. And to all my Pennsylvania fans, I love you all so much. Y'all have spent so much time trying to get this case to be held accountable in the court of law. I have never been a sellout. I've never been a person that was willing to accept money for shutting my mouth. I knew when I spoke up, this would cost me everything. And at the time when I was younger, I was just hoping my parents and the people that did this would acknowledge it, make it right, and I was willing to move forward in life. When those people did not do that, and then they also continued to be in the public eye, antagonizing and what I consider, in my word, terrorizing the state of Pennsylvania and the community there. They have literally put people out of business by trying to quote protest and use their name as a church, which they're absolutely not a church. There is no church. There's never been a church. It's just a few people that go around using and abusing the laws and taking those laws and trying to put people out of business in Pennsylvania. At the same time, while they stand outside people's businesses, calling them whores, prostitutes, you're going to burn in hell, you're no good, gays are bad. I mean, I'm being very nice because I don't want to use the words that they used. But when they would stand out there and hold these signs up and say that gays were responsible for the AIDS epidemic and all these horrific things, y'all can go down into my videos, not my short posts, but in my videos. You will see extensive videos there. And I know they're not all the best lighting, they're not all the best of anything, but it was just me wanting to document and tell people this is what happened in Pennsylvania. And not just me as a survivor. There are many survivors in Pennsylvania that have endured what is called the Bible Anabaptist Church, Street Preachers Fellowship, Bishop Ronnie McCrae. This is not a church, y'all. This is not an organization built on God. It was built on child torture. It was built on taking a little girl and her brothers and doing sadistic, evil things to them, all in the name of God on that mountain. Then coming off that mountain and forcing those people or brainwashing those few people that were weak minded to go out and terrorize the neighborhoods and the community. And Johnstown, Pennsylvania, bless their hearts, they are a city that has been under consistent, just nonstop harassment from Ronnie McCrae, Daniel Gowan, Straight Preachers Fellowship, there is so many people over the years that will come along, and I'm not trying to, there were so many innocent people that were just being victimized. They were being used by these people. And so they would go out and stand in front of people's businesses and try to shut them down, and eventually did shut them down. They were also involved with the police department there. It's on record. This is public education, where they actually caught the chief of police giving people's license plates numbers out to my father, Ronnie McCrae. He likes to be called Bishop Ronnie McCrae, but take it from me, there's no bishop going on there. He likes to use those labels to try to make himself sound like, credible, like I'm a credible person, believe me, I'm a great human. But behind closed doors, the horrific torture there is something that I think that is so diabolical and so sickening that the state of Pennsylvania has not held them accountable. And I don't mean the citizen. The citizens deserve justice there. These people have gone through heinous, nonstop harassment, diabolical abuse and manipulation. There are people that I consider that have gone through trauma that leads them to have Stockholm syndrome, women being drugged and raped. This is not something I'm making up. This is on record. This is something that you don't see the FBI going, hey, I want to hear this. This is stuff that I have to give to them because they don't care to even check on it. These are real crimes that are happening right now in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to speak, and I know everybody wants me to speak on the charges that were my brother was indicted for this last year, October 31st. And I will speak about that later. But I think it speaks for itself. And I'm heartbroken, to be frankly honest, that my brothers, some of them have made the choices they have made. And I guess I was rescued at 16 years old and came to Texas. And I always know, even growing up in that torture, I was never a weak-minded person. I just wanted to know why. Why was I being held in a closet for years? Why did I have a coffee can for a toilet? Why was I being starved? I was taken into public restaurants. People would eat in front of me, and waitresses couldn't even give me a glass of water because my parents and their church terrorist little group wouldn't allow me to eat. This is a little girl, 12, 10, 13 years old. She's on top of a mountain in a closet with the Maxwell House coffee can as a toilet, y'all. She has no toys. She doesn't even have decent bedding. She's just in this little bitty closet. My closet is way bigger than that where they put me at. And Cheryl McCrae was my mother, quote, mother. She would instigate this a lot. My brother was involved, and one of my brothers was involved in a lot of the things that happened to me. And nobody don't come for me. He's literally wrote about and owned that he sat there and did these things and watched them torture me for it because I didn't know where a pen was or whatever they were going to use that day to torture me. I wouldn't know what they were talking about. But my brother, the one that on the indictment, Stephen McCrae, did know because he had done it. He wrote about it later as an adult. And I forgave him. So that's why I'm not going to speak about the charges yet. I'm going to get back to that on another time. It might be today. It might be tomorrow. I don't know. But right now, what I'm trying to I guess I'm trying to ask people in Pennsylvania to please stand up and demand that these people be held accountable. Because what you don't know is when you live on a mountain in a closet and you're being beat to death where your skin is hanging off your body and you're not sure you're going to live to the next day, and you survive all that, there should be justice handed to you immediately. And there was none. There was never any of that. How do you get justice when the police department is literally working with the people that are torturing you? Somebody explain that. That is public record there in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and the surrounding areas. They have continued to stay there And they used what they sold me for, which again is appalling that the FBI, Governor Josh Shapiro, I would like, how did they explain the receipts of selling me? They literally sold me. There's no and if buts about it. There's contracts. There are receipts for this. How can this continue to go on? And you wonder why I have troubled brother situations. Well, why not look at what they already lived through in the state of Pennsylvania when it comes to the judicial system? They turned a blind eye every time. They still are. They never cared one bit about getting on this situation, investigating it. There was only one investigator that ever gave a damn. His name was Jason Hunter. That man wanted them indicted for attempt to murder me, for kidnapping me, for sexually trafficking me from Virginia all the way to Pennsylvania and other states in between there, such as Maryland. There's a lot of states I was brought to where bad things happened to me that were criminal. I'm not talking about, I missed a meal that day. No, I'm talking about sexual crimes. And when you call the district attorney there and they talk to you like you're trash. They don't give a damn. There's something wrong with that. And people deserve to be heard. They deserve to stand in a court of law and hold the people accountable that did these sick crimes. And when you're in Pennsylvania, to all the people there, and you're walking past these people that literally almost killed their daughter, you tell me, how is that okay? This is why this foundation has been built. That's why I have so many fans that are backing me on this, because I have for years been telling the truth over and over and over. You need to do something. You need to get involved in this and arrest these people. Because when you have kids watch their parents literally almost murder their sister, and you don't press charges against them, what do you think that tells those children? How do you think that influences those children when they grow up? Because now we're all adults. Now we all have kids. What do you think is your message you're sending to them? You're sending a message that sex crimes to children and women and men don't matter. But guess what, America? They matter. They matter to all of us. And I know Pennsylvania, it really matters there. It matters in Virginia. There's a reason these people have never stopped doing what they've done. I have literally forgiven them for what they have done. I have given them time and time again opportunities to make this right on a personal, private, family moment. They rejected that. That's why this became public. It became public because my health has suffered from the torture that I endured for 16 years. I want to know why Josh Shapiro is not demanding that his people underneath him, you have underneath him an attorney general, then you have a district attorney. They don't care one bit. Well, you're a governor. You need to make them care. You need to hold them accountable because it is criminal now for them not to hold them accountable. And I know Governor Josh Shapiro knows about this case. And I know there's millions of people all over the world that know what happened in Pennsylvania to me. My brother, bless his heart, the one that's dead. And now my other brother that y'all are sending me this information that he's been charged with all these other crimes that happened in Ohio with prostitution. And y'all want to ask me, will you say something? Are you going to speak on it? I don't even know how to speak on it. I just want to cry, to be honest. I'm disappointed because I knew that if you don't cut the head off of a snake, it's going to come back again. And when I say that, I mean that in the analogy of you allowed Ron and Cheryl McCray, Daniel Gowan, people like that to do these crimes. There's so many witnesses that watched this happen, putting kids in feces, putting them in households where they were almost drowning, and you're letting them still walk free in Pennsylvania. For example, Daniel Gowan, Josh Shapiro, I want to ask you, why have you not had that man arrested? Don't brush it off and say, well, go to the ATG, because your ATG won't do a damn thing about it. Better yet, when you were ATG, you were the Attorney General, you didn't do anything. So I am tired. My team is tired. We are demanding that something be done now, because this has been too public. It's been proven. There's no doubt in anybody's mind. If they were to see all the evidence, it's not even, you would have to be a blind, deaf fool to not know. This is so horrific what happened there. I want people to stand up and say something. And I'm thankful for the ones that have. They are just pounding on me right now. And I appreciate y'all sending all this stuff and wanting me to address it. I am going to address it. But I'm trying right now to shake the grounds of Pennsylvania judicial system and ask why. Why does Pennsylvania judicial system look away from their victims? Now they're survivors. Now they're publicly saying, why won't you do something? We don't. I personally could give a flip about anything but having them arrested. I want them indicted. I want them held accountable. That is what the law says. That is what the Pennsylvania law states. I'm not asking for anything more than that. So give me my day in court. You want to stop some of this, then start charging people that did these crimes. I don't care how old they are or how young they are. When you commit these kind of such crimes, people should be protected from these kind of people. And it's publicly been put out here time and time again in Pennsylvania. Hello, you have sex trafficking going on here in Pennsylvania. I'm a survivor of it. I want them arrested, and they just slam the door in your face. The more you slam the door in my face, guess what? The more the public is just getting more and more behind me. They want justice. They want these people held accountable. And when you have children that are being brainwashed, tortured, and put on a mountain where sick things that I have never even spoken about, because I was asking, thinking, and believing that my siblings would be different. I thought we would break the cycle. I thought we were the family that was going to make sure that our kids would never see the light of those people's eyes. I never dreamed that my nieces and nephews would be introduced to people that did these things to me. I am disappointed that my brothers bring their children around these sick, vile people. I've said that time and time again. My nieces and nephews do not deserve to be shamed. They do not deserve to be treated foul and badly. They were taught to love evil. That is not their fault. So now we're in our third generation. So when is Pennsylvania going to put their foot down and hold these people accountable? You want to talk about breaking the cycle? Let's start with your survivors that are asking, begging, knocking, calling on your door every day to please stand up. Please do something about what they did to us on that mountain. I am not going to sit here and say that my brother and those charges that y'all have all sent me, I understand that that is not good on any level. But I also understand a brother that was raised on a mountain where there was some of the sickest things you could ever think of happen. And it was all supposed to be in the name of God. People would vomit to know what children were going through there. And the state continues to look away. So we want people like Daniel Gowan, that start there, Daniel Gowan, Ron McCray, Cheryl McCray. They should be charged and indicted years ago. You cannot look away from this because we won't allow you. We want these people to be held accountable for these crimes because you're only teaching everybody else around them that this is okay to drug, rape women, do sick things to children, having kids on a mountain where they're starving to death. Animal cruelty, oh my Lord, you don't even want to know about that. So this is never going to go away. We cannot change the narrative. We cannot break the cycle until we hold those people accountable. Me and my siblings, I know for sure, never even had one day of the state of Pennsylvania giving a shit to hold those people accountable. Maybe those charges wouldn't have happened with my brother if you had arrested the people that literally taught him time and time again that these kind of crimes were, oh, it's okay. You can get away with it. Sorry, security went off. That's how it works. But I just wanted to come on here and tell people to please gain justice for what we've gone through there. Let's start there. Sorry, I'm going to stop every time I have an interruption. But I just wanted to compel people to look at the broad spectrum, look at the big picture. There's a lot here that people don't get to see and know. Delivery system. Sorry, this is how this is why things go the way they are. This is not something that's being produced and put out in a label that makes people think like what I want you to hear. No, I'm going to tell you the truth because that's what happened on that mountain. And those young men, my brothers, one of them died leaving this world that was so horrifically tortured. Ron McCray put a gun to his head as a child. These kind of crimes, why have they not charged them for this? There's no, we have till 99 years old for these people to be held accountable. How long does it take Somerset, Pennsylvania to get it the blank together and arrest these people that did this stuff? Daniel Gowan walking free, when you see him, just know he sat there and put a little girl, a little bitty, cute little girl, and feces and made her move feces out of a barn on that mountain on Gilbert Hollow Road. He literally stood there with Ron McCray, my father, for hours. And y'all know the story that I found out because I am not educated on pornography and things of that sort. I wasn't aware about the sexual content, how am I going to use this? The word sexual content of them watching and forcing a little girl to carry feces out of a barn and then put her in an outhouse hole. Ron McCray, Cheryl McCray, Daniel Gowan, those three grown people sat there and did that to a little girl, and you have not arrested them. There is something wrong with that. I don't care what you say. Nobody's going to stop us from demanding they be held accountable. And I might get emotional when I talk about this stuff, but I don't really know how you don't. And then turn around and fight for so long for this. And now I'm looking at my siblings and I'm having to understand why they've done certain things. Because when you allow your own parents, they have allowed them to get away with such horrific crimes. I've never 100% asked, but as far as I know, because this has been some screaming matches in my family with me and my brothers, they have never walked into the police department and said, let me tell you what they did to us on that mountain. It's time for Stephen McCray to speak up and start telling the truth. This has affected my brother, I believe, in a horrific way. I think it's affected him in such a way that nobody can have a clue. And enough is enough. Pennsylvania, do you need millions of dollars of lawsuits sent on you because you don't want to do anything about this? This has affected so many families, and it's affected my brothers on top of myself and all of our children. Can you imagine what our kids literally have to live through? Because this is public. Can you imagine my nieces and my nephews all having to know, hey, grandma, grandpa tortured children. And then my parents take me over there to them and say, let's sing Jesus with them and love them. That is something so sick and sadistic and vile. Can you imagine how much that messes up a child? That's what you're bringing and raising in Pennsylvania right now. These kids, bless their hearts, I'm just shook by that. That bothers me so much. It breaks my heart. I went public to stop this, break the cycle. But no, it's continued down the line. And enough is enough. These people, we want them held accountable. How many times do we have to keep saying it? And I just am disgusted by it all. I'm disgusted that my brother, Stephen McCrae, that one on those charges y'all are sending me, he had to sit there and watch Daniel Gowan, Ronnie McCrae, forced his little sister to carry feces out of a barn, shoved her into an outhouse hole where she was drowning. Somebody tell me, how do you even live in the state of Pennsylvania and not be outraged? I cannot fathom how that affects another human being. I'm not going to make excuses for my brother. I'm just giving you a glitch of one moment of his life, of what he saw. So I'm asking everybody to please demand they hold, especially Daniel Gowan, Ronnie McCrae, Cheryl McCrae, they need to be held accountable. Without a doubt, they need to be held accountable. And it's not our fault that we sit here and beg for justice and they just keep turning an eye to it. We survived. I survived that. Because when I got out, I didn't even know it was criminal. Once I knew it was criminal, I began to demand for justice. This is really back around 1998. They were involved with the police. You can't get justice there. The system there continues to fail victims every day. Survivors every day of SA crimes, they fail them. You have a DA last, 2 years ago there? Our DA literally charged with aggravated sexual assault and rape. How do you get, somebody tell us. That's why we need the governor, Josh Shapiro, to speak up. We're asking him to sit down and talk with me about this. I want to ask him why. Why has he not had these people arrested? Because my nieces and nephews deserve to know how to love and love correctly. When you keep allowing this stuff to happen, when you have people like me and my brothers, in any other case, look it up. Any other case where kids have gone through this, the state steps in and helps those kids basically for the rest of their life. Do you know they've not done one damn thing in that state to help any of my siblings, including myself? And I know I was the one that was tortured the most, but when you have kids watching this happening, being forced to participate in it, there is a sense of accountability to the state that they need to be held accountable civilly. Because you cannot continue to do these kind of crimes to children and get away with it because we grew up, we survived. Now you have more damages because this is just, we never got any help. They never cared one bit. They took my two younger brothers from CPS and gave them back to those horrific people when they were children. Yes, Stephen McCrae lied. He got on the witness stand. He lied in that courtroom about what they did to us on that mountain. And I'm sure he's going to never forgive himself for that because that was horrible that he did that. I don't know why. You'll have to go ask him why he lied. But he did such perjury that day. He sent my little brothers back into the arms of those that did this to us. So at this point, as an adult, he's going to be held accountable for the parts he's played in this. And I'm going to end it on that note. All I just want people to know is that you need to stand up and say something. If it was you, I would do it for you. I would do it for a stranger because there is something vile that people live on a property where a little girl almost died and they traded her for it. For God's sakes, the FBI can pull the godforsaken deed. The contracts, they're public. I posted them. There's no reason they have not done something. So we're asking everybody to please speak up because the damages that it has caused me and my siblings, I say enough is enough. And I'm hoping that this moment will be a wake-up call to my brother, Stephen McCrae, the one y'all keep sending all this stuff about. I hope it's a wake-up call for him to realize that what happened on that mountain changed his life in a very bad way. And he needs to address and recognize, own, and tell the truth openly about what they did to us on that mountain because it has affected that man deeply. I'm not going to keep saying I'm going to make excuses, but I have to tell you the truth. And I know that those things he saw there were horrific and things that he did himself. And I don't understand to this day why he's done what he's done. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't give you an answer for it. I don't know why he taught his kids to love those people. I can't answer that question for you. It's not normal. It's diabolical. And as far as I'm concerned, when you took that step to put those kids in that kind of danger, that's when I even have to speak up more. I have to put out more. I have to prove more. It's embarrassing to have to put out stuff so your nieces and nephews hear about it on social media. That's almost like a manipulation, and it's within my family. That's a manipulation because it makes Aunt Cherie look bad. Because Aunt Cherie has to put the proof out because people trust her. They send it to me. I keep their names silent. I don't do those things. I don't out people that say, hey, this is what's happened to me with your family. I keep that stuff to myself. And I tell them, report it, report it, report it. And I know tons have reported it. So we just want accountability. And I really think, better yet, scratch that. Pennsylvania owes me and my brothers rehabilitation for what happened to us on that mountain. They owe it to us. You want to change the world? Well, then start at your own doorsteps. And I know my brothers have endured horrific things right along with their sister. We make different choices. Some of us have made drastically different choices. But at the end of the day, you can't ignore what they lived through too. And all I'm saying is the state needs to do something about it. And that's the end of the story. That's all. And I'll be back later. I'm sorry, y'all. I've got a lot going on. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all knew I was hearing you. I appreciate your evidence. I appreciate all my fans that send me these pictures of them out. I appreciate that. If I don't get to thank you personally and my team, I have not a lot of people on my team, like as in my management. They're overwhelmed. They have a lot to deal with in this. But I don't want to put some things public because I don't want my nieces and my nephews to hear that. That's heartbreaking. That should be in a courtroom. It shouldn't be out here on public media. So I apologize. I know some people get mad at me and say, well, you should play the whole tapes of this and that. I want to, but there's a point where I'm stopping and I'm remembering especially my one niece. I remember how much I promised her that I was going to make sure I was going to break this cycle so she never had to live like this. She never had to see this kind of stuff. And I feel like I failed her because somehow I couldn't get the state to do something about this, and that's diabolical. This is worse than a P. Diddy case. So why haven't they done something? Why have you allowed my nieces and my nephews to grow up in homes that they've seen even horrid things that they should have never seen? Maybe they wouldn't have seen that if their parents got help. The state owes it to us to get us help because you allowed us to sit on that mountain and be tortured. And that is in CPS records. That's not just us spitting out words. This is stuff that's been documented. That they had helped us and given us the help that we rightfully deserved, then maybe we wouldn't have some of the things we have going on now. Did you ever think about it that way? I know we want to shame everybody, drag everybody, but for me personally, I want to hold the state accountable. Like, speak up, do right. When you time and time again, I've said to you, this is what's going on. Here's the proof, or here's some proof. And they just close the door, turn a blind eye, and now you go, well, good God, there's Steve, and he's all in sorts of trouble with a freaking hooker. Well, what in God's name did you expect? Maybe if you had done 10 years ago and put the brakes on this and held those people accountable, maybe my brother would make better choices. But not once has the state ever cared about any one of us. And I know it's been embarrassing for my family to have this on social media and all over the news, but it's only getting bigger and it's only growing more. So when do you want to address it, Pennsylvania? I mean, in the judicial system, when are you wanting to address this? Because we've had enough. And I'm tired of seeing the kids suffer. I'm tired of them going through horrible things because they didn't ask for this. Hell, me and my brothers didn't ask for it. But there's a point where the state is obligated to step in and say, hey, Stephen, 10 years ago, What happened to you? What happened to your sister? What happened to your brother? That was sick. This is probably one of the most horrific child abuse cases. It's in the top, let's say the top 10 in America. That's nothing to flex, but hey, we're going to get you some help. We're going to get you guys therapy. We're going to get you guys some health because, your kidney from your sister has been damaged because of the beatings. We're going to help y'all. They never did that. So I'm not just going to blame everybody in that's making mistakes. I'm going to go back and look at what started this. And what started this was at 174 Gilbert Hollow Road, Holsapple, Pennsylvania, 15937. That's where it started. Well, one of the places it started in that state. It was in Virginia too, but there for many, many years. This sick stuff happened and y'all have done nothing about it. Wake up, everybody. If you want people to be better, then start acknowledging what's happened. The people there that have been terrorized or lost their businesses over these people, stand up, speak up, make the government do something, hold these people accountable. It's not that hard if we gain the masses where they are so overwhelmed from people badgering them, telling them, when are you going to arrest these people? Because the evidence is just profound. You've got multiple brothers that can stand in a witness, sit on a booth in front of a jury and tell you what they did up there on that mountain. What is your excuse, Josh Shapiro, for not having those people arrested? There is none. There won't be one. And we won't stop. I thank you all again. I'm sorry. I know this is fast, running it through. I just didn't want you guys to think I was ignoring all the information. I'm just trying to take it all in because at the end of the day, that's my brother. And at the end of the day, that was the boy that helped me break out of that room one day to try to run away to get some help. I still remember him. And you won't convince me that he's all evil. I just think that he's so damaged from what happened. And nobody ever gave a damn to help us. So I'm hoping this will be his wake-up call to speak up, tell the truth. Because the life he wants to live, there was nothing wrong with it. He was just too embarrassed and ashamed and fearful, whatever word you want to use. I know. He knew he would have no family if he had spoke up and told the truth. He would have lost his parents, and they weren't worth having in the first place because nobody taught him how to love good, like how to be loved the right way. So keep that in mind. I'm not, again, giving my brother excuses, but I'm just trying to give you some background to why some of these things are happening and why it's urgent that the state and the city get involved and get these people not only arrested, but get me and my brothers the help that we deserve. Because any other state would have stepped in and made sure that we were able to get the help we need. My God, for example, before I leave, when we left that place or were rescued, do you know how many laws we didn't even know? We had no education, no help whatsoever to gain education, to know what's right or wrong. So maybe you ought to wake up and say, gee, wow, that's not helpful to our society. So let's help those that have been hurt because that's what we should do. That's America. And these are people that were born, bred, bled here, and we literally bled here. And we survived it. So stand up, speak up. And if my nieces and nephews hear this message, I want y'all to know I love you. And I am sorry that this stuff has to be public. But those grandparents that you call the evil grandparents, in your heart, you know they're evil. So stand up and do the right thing and speak up for your own family. Even if it sucks, you have to stand up and say, Dad, you got to get some help. Mom, you need to get some help. This isn't right. We're not going down the right road. And make the change, because that's all it takes is somebody standing up. I would thank you all. I appreciate you, and I'm sorry. This is just one of those emotional messages going out, but I had to speak up and say something because I just feel like not everybody sees just how horrific this was and how much it changed our lives. So please be aware of that and demand your governor, Josh Shapiro, to blanking, for the love of God, do something about this. Thank you all. Please share it. Follow me. You can see me on Facebook, link, YouTube, TikTok. It's everywhere. Y'all just know, Google my name. It'll be there. And I will come back later this next day or two, and I'm going to speak a lot about my brother on these charges and what I see is happen. And I think there's two sides to it for sure. And I know these are an indictment, but I think it's something that people should be able to have the opportunity to see both sides of it, coming from his sister, the survivor up there, because I know the guilt that he carries for helping our parents torture me. I'm sure it rides with him every day, but I forgave him. I forgave him. I wanted him to have better. So thank you all for following me and joining me on this journey. And I'll be back later. And by the way, I'm going to be posting new pictures I found. Not that I found, that's just the words I use. They've been here. There's so much stuff. It's unbelievable. That's why I go, what in the world is the state of Pennsylvania doing? Because you damn ain't doing your job. You damn ain't trying to really do something about it. Because if you did, the first person that would know would be me. So I thank you all. Appreciate y'all. Keep you updated. And just remember, everybody has a past, and that past leads them to the present. And if we don't finish what happened in the past and we don't heal what was broken in the past, what in God's name do you expect to put out today? Thank you all. Love you all. I appreciate you. And talk to y'all later and see y'all sooner.